It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
This is the dark side of education that's been bothering me, is that we've taken something so pure, so noble, and now it's become distorted. And this is why I did want to talk about, yes, there's a great return on investment with education if done appropriately, but more and more often we're seeing the negative impacts of debt.
Yep.
High cost, runaway cost in education. And we want to kind of put some numbers to that, let you see these are the factors. Don't let somebody mislead you with how good education is to where on the backside they're sneaking in things that undermine all the opportunity and potential you could have of increasing your earnings. Because we have found a way, and this is what I don't like, is we have found a way to turn something so pure, so noble, into where it actually could be a detriment to your wealth creation in the long term. That's bad. And we want to give you all the indicators to watch out for so you can equip and not fall into the traps.
So we know that right now, student debt is at all-time highs, and it's increased more than 100% over the last 10 years. So just in the last decade, it's increased by 100%. Well, the question you might be asking is, well, why is student loan debt so high? The reason is because the cost of college has continued to increase. It's gone up 169% since 1978 after adjusting for inflation. So in today's dollars, in 1971, the cost of a public university was about $9,000. If you fast forward, and I think this data is as of 2016, 2017, it's up to $22,000. Again, this is data from the College Board. So as the cost of college has increased, so too has the debt burden that students are taking on.
I want to make sure that we, because this can get confusing. This is where sometimes charts can become charts that you're like, what is that saying necessarily? We had Daniel go pull the research, and we brought what education costs in the 70s, early 70s. We brought it up into today's dollars after adjusting it for inflation. So if you were trying to, because you want to have an apples to apples analysis, we found out that if you brought up what education costs back in the 70s to today's dollars, just like Bo said, it was $9,000. Compare that to what college actually costs now. It's around $22,000 a year. So you can see that's not fair. We've more than doubled the cost of something. Even adjusting for inflation, that I don't like that. That bothers me.
One thing that we did, and I thought this was interesting because we've talked about this on a previous show. It's interesting. A lot of our team members here at Abound Wealth Management and the Money Guy Show have graduated from the finest university in all the land, the University of Georgia. You can see it displayed right there.
Go Dogs.
And one of the things we thought was interesting is let's not just look at all public universities, but let's look at like actual case studies of dollars that are being spent. If you look at the in-state tuition rates at the University of Georgia in 1998, it was about $3,000.
That's for the year. That's to go for the year.
For the year, that's right. Fast forward to 2008, and it's gone from $3,000. It's doubled to $6,000. Fast forward another decade from 2008 to 2018, and it's almost $12,000. It seems like it's doubling every decade.
So this data point, this is the reason we did this. I graduated in the mid-90s. So this is I got a better deal than even the $2,900 a year that it was in 1998. And we did this because that's a little after I graduated college at Georgia. And then you take the same thing, Bo graduated, a decade later in 2008. It's $6,000. So we doubled. You can see you more than doubled. What I think is bizarro is then you fast forward to when Daniel graduated from the University of Georgia. We had a doubling again. It's not like we said, hey, in 1998 to 2008, it went up $3,000. So it went from $2,900 to $6,000. So in 2018, it's going to be $9,000.
Another $3,000.
No, it doubled. They understand. Education has figured out this whole concept of compounding growth in not a good way. And that's what I don't like, is it looks like I stole my degree for getting it for less than $3,000 a year. Meanwhile, and by the way, this was 2018. I guarantee if we looked at this number now, it's well beyond the $12,000 a year. That's a disconnect from reality. And that's the one thing that I would encourage more universities, more education providers, be careful that you're not breaking the thing that gives you power. Because Has the cost of education when I was there, because by the way, when I was at the University of Georgia, it was still like 26,000 students.
Sure.
It was still huge buildings, big, beautiful land and everything else. It's not like all of a sudden after I graduated that it turned into the University of Georgia. No, it just something, there's a disconnect there that I would challenge all higher education, because guess who's carrying the weight of these huge increases? It's our youth.
That's exactly right. I think it's interesting. This is, Brian, I think this is an encouraging but also a discouraging stat, I think. We found in our research preparing for this show that the class of 2019 graduated with an average of $29,900 in student loan debt. So the average student loan debt for someone graduating in 2019 was $30,000. That means that someone is basically starting $30,000 in the hole when they come out. Now, here's where I say it's sort of an encouraging, discouraging thing. The average salary for recent college grads, according to our research, was about $43,000.
Yeah.
And if you've listened to the money guy rule of thumb, you know, we say if you are someone who must take on student loan debt, one of the things we always encourage you is don't ever accumulate more student loan debt than you anticipate your first year's salary will pay. If you can do that, you set yourself up, given the circumstances, in a better spot that someone runs it up higher than that. But you still can't ignore the fact that that person is starting in the negative. They're starting kind of behind. They've got to play a game of catch up.
That's what it's the opportunity cost of what could become of those dollars. You know, I drink my flavored water out of this koozie. It says this $1 beer cost me $88. The whole concept of that is that the younger you are, you know how powerful, like $1 for a 20-year-old has the potential 45 years later to turn into $88. $1 for the 30-year-old has the potential to turn into $23. $1 for the 40-year-old has the potential to turn into $7. You quickly see that this thing, it gets away from you. So every year that we take $1 away from a young person to save for themselves, to invest for the future, because they're paying back a higher cost of education than they should have paid, you're taking away from their army of dollar bills for the future. And that's something that we wanted to kind of address. Now, I do love the fact that at least it's healthy in the fact that if you were making greater than what your student loan debt is out of college, you have the ability to pay it back. But that doesn't mean that still we shouldn't mourn the army of dollars that didn't make it in because you got overcharged for education.
Yeah, I think oftentimes people think of student loan debt in terms of the cost of the interest. So if you're a parent and you're encouraging your child to go to college, say, yeah, but interest rates are low and maybe your student loan will have 4%. The cost of that $1 of debt is not as much the 4% interest that you will carry. It's exactly what you said. It is the 88 time over compounding effect that you will not be taking advantage of. So it's something you have to think through when you're making those decisions.